Hi guys, Fla'nel here, and today we're going to talk about how I made my Evelynn's wig. So, I made this wig in order to do my cosplay of the baddest of Evelynn from KDA and or League of Legends. If you've missed it, I made 3 videos dedicated to the making of the costume, rings and lashes, so if you're interested, you can go check it out, they are already out. But today we're here to see how I made the wig that you're seeing right now. I made it for the baddest version of Evelynn, but it also works for her version from the music video more, aka her skin in the game. Little story before starting. I made the wig when only those references were out, so everything is based on it, including the length of the wig. You can perfectly cut it shorter if you want to do this wig for her skin version. But I'm telling you that because the real struggle was her hair color. Even though her hair is white in the comics, it's also violet in some official arts and bluish in some others, leaving me at the time not knowing what freaking color to choose. In the end, I decided to go and try to find something silver with a bluish violet. So my first battle was to find a good wig base with a color that I liked or found close to what I imagined, and pieces of lace front that were going to be the exact same color. Or to sum it up, an impossible research, at least at first sight. Luckily, Kazeo, that you're starting to know by now if you'll follow this channel, told me about the website Coscraft and I found my base there. So I bought this wig and a section of lace that is the same color as the wig. If you're interested in buying the same wig, the link to it is in the description. The color is ice blue. And no, it's not sponsored, even though it would be great. Hi Coscraft, if you're passing by, nice to meet you. We could be friends. As you can see, this is a really great base and a great color, but still, it was a bit too blue to my taste and obviously far from being in the right shape. And that is why this video exists. So, in order to achieve this wig, I used this beautiful hairdryer, but any hairdryer will work, don't worry. A hairstyling kit with a comb and 2 pairs of scissors, a classical one and a thinning one with 2 blades, some hair clips, this brush and some rubber bands, a light purple alcohol-based marker, some white wax in order to whiten the wig, and a cosplayer best friend for wig styling, the got-to-be hairspray. God, I realized I could have so much sponsors in this video. Let's go now. The first step is to separate the hair, choosing which one will be used for the fringe and which one will stay the same. I also placed a rubber band on the back part to see where I'll cut the bangs behind to have the length I wanted. I placed some hair clips on the fringe to see where I wanted to cut it, keeping in mind the V-shape of Evelynn's fringe, and then I cut it. I used my 2 scissors here, but mainly the thinning one to have a layered cut on this part. To give more hair volume to it, I teased the hair coming toward the head. I didn't tease it too much because I didn't want all of the hair to have a definitive texture after the teasing. I wanted the top to stay smooth. You can also just decide to tease the hell out of the fringe, keeping upper bangs out of it to keep the smooth effect. Once it's done, you should obtain this ball of fluffy mess. Yes, I agree, that was a bad joke. So, once you have this thing, put some hairspray on it, wait for it to dry, and then come back with a brush and brush the hair. Try to keep a bit of volume under, and to really bring back the smoothness of the bangs off the top. And just like that, you'll obtain a nice volume for your fringe. If you think that's not enough, you can repeat the process until you're satisfied. On my side, since I liked the volume just like this, I moved on and hit the roots of the fringe while combing them. I wanted them to be oriented to the center of the forehead, again trying to match as much as possible the original hairstyle. The next step now is to change the color of this part of the wig before fixing it with hairspray. I said it earlier, but even if the wig color was beautiful, it was a bit too blue for me. So I needed to dye the roots with the marker to bring the purple color that I was missing. To do so, I used this alcohol marker to dye the top of the wig in a light purple, close to a pink that was a bit darker than the blue of the wig. More precisely, I used the lavender colored one. Doing this on the roots of a wig is usually great because it will give a more natural aspect to the wig. As natural as the color of this wig can be. Why? Well, as humans, we tend to have darker roots than the rest of our hair. It's as simple as that. But obviously, by doing so, this will darken the wig, which is why I used the white wax to enlighten it. I'll be honest, I didn't know if this would work on a wig, so I was quite frightened to put it on my fringe. In the end, it gave the exact effect that I wanted. By doing it slowly and really taking the time to spread it across the fibers, this ended up just as I imagined it. Okay, now it's time to give the fringe its final form, which means it's got to be time! I started by spraying the inside of the fringe to stabilize the volume, and then the upper part while I was combing the whole thing to be sure that it stayed oriented as I wanted. By the way, it's important that you let the marker and the wax to dry before applying the hairspray or you'll have bad surprises. And yeah, not wanting for the hairspray to dry by itself, which would take a long time, I had my hairdryer not far to fasten the process and to really end the fixing of the shape. I also kept on cutting the fringe to give it an even more clean cut. And just like that, you have your fringe! Now we have to place the lace parts, and in order to do so, we have to pull back the side hair and make a little ponytail with it to have a better idea of where to place the lace parts. Obviously, you have to do this with each side. In the end, most of those bangs won't be pulled back, just like the ones at the very front. I had to place the front lace piece first time, firstly to see where I'm cutting the piece in two, and secondly to be sure I had enough for both spots and see how it would look. And now I cut the lace in two. This time I'm now placing those in order to see how they must be placed to have a good final result. I'm doing this first time directly on the styling head, fixing it with clips, and then I put it on my head to adjust it perfectly. Don't hesitate to often try your wig during this whole process to have something that will fit your face. Once they are definitely placed, I'm simply sewing them to the wig. It takes a bit of time to do, mostly to avoid catching any fibers that are composing the hair, but also to be sure that I'm sewing the lace on the actual wig's fabric, not in void. And once it's sewed, it should look like this. Now, remember the white wax from the fringe? We now have to apply it on the entire part of the hair that wasn't touched before to make the wig seem whiter. And we also have to cut the bottom of the wig since, as I told you, it's supposed to be too long. Plus, we're going to need those hair for the next part. And this next part is the making of the buns. And here you'll need paper and those pieces of hair that are from the back of the wig that I just told you about. Or you can just buy extra bangs, but doing this will cost you more. If you're going with the hair left after the cut, we're first going to see how to assemble those. So here I'm taking my pieces of hair and pulling it together in little groups. I'm doing this in order to make it easier for me to apply those on my pieces of paper. You'll see that later. Once I had my little stacks of hair, I then used a glue gun to fix them together, applying the glue on both sides. As you can see, I also used scissors to be sure the glue would catch every fiber. I then cut the extra hair and basically restarted the process on all of my hair packs. As I said, I use my glue gun, but wood glue also works. Let's start the funny part, and the reason why you will really need a strong hairspray, which is why I'm using this one. So I applied the hairspray on both sides of the pack of hair, and then rolled it around the paper before temporarily fixing it with clips. As for the paper, you've understood this is my base for the buns. I just took basic paper that I had at home, rolled it and fixed it with tape before cutting it into the shape I wanted. I went for this size, but basically it's up to you to decide how big you want your base to be. Back to placing the hair. I took my time to place those, trying to make it as flat as possible to avoid little fibers flying everywhere. I applied a new layer of hairspray once those clips were placed and then used my hairdryer to fix this first layer of hair. This should give you something looking like this. Now that you've understood this, you just have to repeat the process a bunch of times until you find the bun thick enough for you. Don't make them your final size, you'll have the hair of the wig to add on it later. And yes, obviously now you have to repeat the process a second time. Don't forget to take off the paper on the inside of the buns because you won't need it, even more after applying layers and layers of hairspray on those buns. And don't hesitate on putting a lot of hairspray. You'll need those to be hard as a rock for what's coming. Now try to place the buns where you want them to be on the wig and put some clips to notify this spot. On my side, I then use hairpins to fix the buns on those spots, and as you can see right now, since they are hard as a rock, I just had to sew them to the wig. You can also decide to just pin them if you want, but like that I'm sure they won't move and I have no intention on using this wig for anyone else but Evelynn, so I don't care about fixing them. I did this for both of my buns, and now I just have to roll the side bangs around the bases of the buns. Brush the bangs in the right direction and then roll them progressively around those new buns, while applying hairspray and using the hairdryer to fix everything. That was the funniest part for me to do. Also, you might want to apply a bit of white wax again and maybe even your purple alcohol-based marker. Your wig is now basically entirely done! You can obviously adapt this whole process to obtain the perfect result for you, like shortening the wig or making the buns bigger. I myself went for slightly smaller buns than in the references pics, just because I felt this would give a natural effect to the whole thing because, you know, Evelynn is basically a fictional character with fictional proportion, so yeah, you have to adapt it a bit to the real world. And this video is concluding all those Evelynn's making of videos. Again, if you haven't seen them, they are available on the channel right now. All those videos were far more work to do than what I thought at first. Filming all of this was really a new experience for me and Kazeo, and I'm not sure we will redo a full costume like that. But for sure there'll be other making of later, but just on some parts of a costume. I hope all those videos could help you one way or another, or at least that they were able to entertain you. If you want to see more content about Evelynn, you can go and check all my other social medias. I'm not saying that often, but if you like this video, you can also consider to like or just leave a comment here, or even subscribe. This feels so unnatural, but those videos were a lot of work and I love them so much, so I'm saying this just this time. Or maybe I'll have to learn to say it all the times. Well, on this, love you all and see you soon!